Testing 1 2.
Good morning, testing 1 2.
Good morning, testing 1 2.
Testing 1 2.
Testing 1 2.
Testing 1 2.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Oh, I would have done it for you, Edmund. You tested that one already?
I was going to tell you, my son's in Monroe.
Kevin, just leave it there for another minute or two.
Oh, yeah? Okay. So when you say my son comes down here now for Thanksgiving because they want grandma's cooking.
That's at least 2.
I got 9:27.
Yeah, that's
What they
about
want.
right. We agree
But
on
it's
that
good
one.
to see everybody.
Oh, wow, I'm surprised.
Maybe I should make the announcement kit that they need.
Yeah, yeah.
Public service, oops, that ain't good. Good morning, everyone. Before we start, just a couple of tips, since there are a lot of people here that aren't normally in attendance, so welcome and thank you for coming. There are comments allowed by residents before the meeting. If you wish to speak to an item that is on the agenda, you do need to sign up on the sign-in sheet back there on the table, where Morty Sawyer is right now, putting his name down. Otherwise, you know, if you're just here to listen, that's great too. If you are going to come up to speak, in terms of using the mic, it's on. Okay, please don't blow into it. Don't tap it and say, "Oh, is it on? Is it on?" It's on. Get close enough to the mic that you can hear yourself coming out of the speakers. That's the way that we ensure that whatever is said is heard, not only by those here in the hall, but people who are watching at home on YouTube, because it only picks up the transmit part. The mic itself, if you're taller or shorter, this actually will move. So you can move it up and down. So if you're really short, move it down so it's a little bit closer to your mouth. If you're tall, move it up so that you don't have to bend over so much. So thank you very much. Good meeting.
All right, thank you, Carol. As soon as Kevin gives me the sign-up sheet, we'll call the meeting to order. Okay, so we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start off with determination of a quorum.
Good morning, Board. Yes, we have a quorum of now 7 board members. Russ just called in, and the meeting was noticed in accordance of Florida Statute 720 and the Summer Glen governing documents.
Thank you. For those of you that aren't normally at one of our workshops, this is a board workshop. It's not a board meeting. So at these workshop meetings, what we do is we discuss the agenda items, get more information, if there's any questions the board members have for follow-up information and so on. As far as resident input on the agenda items, here at the beginning of the meeting, residents can come up. You have 3 minutes to discuss any of the agenda items. If it's not an agenda item, there's a session at the end. Once we adjourn the meeting, we have a resident comment time at the end of the meeting for any topic you want to talk about if it wasn't on the agenda. So with that, we'll start off with resident input on agenda items. First on the list is Mark Davis.
Good morning. I'll need more than 3 minutes, but my extra I'll take at the end. I'm here to discuss item
Mr. Davis,
6E.
I'm sorry, Mr. Davis, what's your lot number?
57.
Thank you.
Section 3.9 on the lease with the restaurant. The Summer Glen Owners Association proposes to renew the food and beverage credit program for 2027. My question is, why is the renewal of this program buried in the agenda under restaurant amendment proposal when the additional $30 a month continuing for next year, shouldn't that be discussed in an open forum like this, not just as a resident, because the program is not listed as an agenda item. Many people who have interest in that $30 each month given to come in and make comments. Part of that lease, I'm going to see my notes here. The current agreement states this monthly food and beverage credit program will be evaluated and amounts determined each year. What I want to know is, since we're already proposing a $30 a month in the program to continue for next year, when and who evaluated that and determined that the amount should be $30? Did I miss it in a board meeting, an agenda prior to this that brought that up as far as when the homeowners association evaluated it and made that determination that we would continue with $30 a month? We currently give the restaurant $30,720 a month. If you take away taxes, because that's net of food, net of taxes, that leaves $28,576 clear after taxes that the restaurant has. If you consider that conservatively, a food and labor cost for a typical restaurant is a 60% range, that means that they're making 40% of that $28,000, which is $11,430 in profit each month. And we want to continue that program. I don't think it's necessary. They're not willing to pay their 1% rent now for this year. They've got it in half for next year. They don't want to pay electric bills because for some reason they can't afford them. We have a lease that is enforceable. What section dictates in the lease? Renewals is under Article 4. What section of the lease dictates lease amendment proposals where they get to change everything that they agreed upon 2 years ago in this lease? So to finalize, I'm against the continuation of the $30 a month, but I think it should be open to more people and be made aware that, in fact, this is happening today and not sometime in the future. Thank you.
Just clarification, again, it's a workshop meeting. The board is not voting on anything today. Okay, next up is Marcia Ely.
Good morning, Board, and thank you for what you do. Marcia Ely, Lot 166. My comment is also on the
Talk
restaurant.
into the mic.
You seriously can't hear me? I just want to remind everyone, including the board, that we chose this restaurant in the first place from their meeting that they had in the RSO and the promises that they made to the community that they understood our needs. Let's see. I'm going to shorten this some. Several different committees and groups have approached the restaurant with ways to bring in entertainment to help increase their profits. All of those have been turned down. Now the restaurant is asking to extend the $30 a month voucher. You can't turn down opportunities to make money and then ask for money. Just my opinion. And as far as closing at 7 o'clock at night, yes, we are a senior community, but quite frankly, I'm not ready for bed at 7 o'clock at night. I do believe that we can have a good time at the restaurant, and there are ways to do those things, as it is a social hub for this community. We're kind of a captive audience here, and I personally like to go up there, see my neighbors, talk to them, interact, have dinner, maybe a few drinks, lots of laughs. I do believe that they want to try to do what's right, but I haven't seen them honor the words that they said in that RSO meeting or the contract that they signed with us to serve this community. I want you guys to think about that. I want the community to think about that. If we need to go back and visit this and go back to the community and say, what exactly do you need? Let's do that. The residents should dictate, not the restaurant. Thank you.
Next up, Tom Ely.
Tom Ely, Lot 166. I had something written up, but after that, I might want to get a beer in the restaurant, so I'll keep it very short. I was glad to hear that the board was renegotiating the contract with the restaurant. Unfortunately, I was hoping that some of the things that would be negotiated would be keeping the restaurant to the contract. And from what I see, it looks like all these concessions are to the restaurant. You don't concede things until they live up to their commitments. Make sure that they live up to their original contract, then we can renegotiate a contract. Force them to do the things that they said they were going to originally. If we have to, hold the $30,000 a month until they do what they promised to do. Thank you.
Next up, Marty Sawyer.
Marty Sawyer, Lot 180. I'm just going to piggyback on a couple of those things that those people have already mentioned. First of all, I'm a little disappointed that the restaurant chose not to show up today for this meeting. It could have been nice to have them around. Also, I believe in the contract we have right now is valid and in place, and they have chose to ignore it for the last 9 months. So renegotiating a new contract, what it makes you believe that they're going to adhere to a new contract. So I don't think they will. I think it's time for them to maybe move on. They have, looks like an exit plan here with all the demands they've made and taking themselves off the utilities. They want to get clean and clear of Summer Glen. That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, that includes the list of residents that signed up to speak. So we'll move on to the main part of the meeting, the business. So item 6A is the Summer Dreams Publisher Agreement from Good Time Printing. So this is for the Summer Dreams publication, comes out every month. The renewal is due. And so the proposal is for a 3-year renewal of the agreement. Maria, is there anything, any other comments you want to make at this point concerning that?
No, this is pretty standard. It's very much the same way. There's no funds involved. Advertising is done. We try to recommend people advertise with the publisher, and that way our publication is pretty much free except for colored pages certain times of the year. So it's really not a money agreement. It's more of an agreement to use them and send the advertisers, people who want to advertise.
Are we happy with the amount of color pages we're getting?
So I believe we are, from what I've heard. I am making a couple of adjustments in the budget just to make sure that we cover the color pages in a different way so that we can clearly see how much money is allotted for that so that we can stick better to that. But I think that in overall, these magazines are very liked by our owners. When they appear on the shelf, they disappear right away. They're very well done. There's great articles, and the community is very involved in this. So I think this is definitely something that we need to continue to support because it's very positive. But the publisher is amazing, and they've worked with us for years, and I think we should continue to work with them.
Thank you.
Yeah, to Dan's point, though, we really should have it specified in the agreement as far as how many color pages we get, whether it's on an annual basis or a per issue basis. Right now, there's really nothing in there that says anything about having color pages. It talks about the number up to 48 pages and so on.
Okay, I will reach out to the publisher and have clarification on the colored pages. That's our main concern, correct? The ones that we would pay for.
I believe.
No, what's included in the
What's included already without pay.
with the base contract, this is how many color pages we get, and then if the option, if we want additional, what would be the cost of the additional?
I believe, Jeff, there was a request, Steve might know for a fact, for a couple of $1,000s to add more color pages.
That's correct.
Coming.
Yeah, but we need to know in advance.
But we need to know what's covered and
What- yeah.
what you're absolutely correct. But I believe that, so the community knows, they may add more. I'm sorry?
Yeah, so
well,
there
anyway.
are 0 included. Color pages are extra. That's what the money was for. So we've held everybody to a certain number of colored pages per year, but we want to be a little bit more clear as to the amount of funds that are available for
And
that.
the Summer Dreams Committee was recommending to increase,
All right.
very minimal amount.
$2,000 per year for extra color pages.
Right.
And so I'm with Steve and the committee, and we're working on that.
Well, I think it's worthwhile asking them the question is, are they willing to add in
Any color page.
any color pages included in the base package?
So as we go on with this, I've mentioned numerous times, Summer Dreams Committee needs volunteers.
Yes.
They've actually had discussions among themselves, whether they wanted, what their scope is in the future, because they knew this 3-year contract was coming up. And they would hate to have the board sign a contract and then have no committee to publish a magazine. So I'm going to do my plea for volunteers again. We've seen it in the weekly. Lisa's been putting out an ad, but I think, and I support it 100%. I think it's a great magazine. Marie's absolutely right. It disappears off the shelf. But the committee needs help to keep this going for the next 3 years.
Right.
And I think the board needs to know that before we sign an agreement.
So I've come across a couple of individuals that are brand new to our community. I'm not going to mention names. I won't do that to you.
No, I understand.
But I will plead to you out there, you know who you are. I think you would be a great addition to this, and I think that you are very, very needed. So hopefully, we'll get some folks, stepping up for that.
Right, we'd like to see it continue, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, the magazine is not possible without the committee volunteers. I mean, the publisher is going to publish what we give them and sell ad space, but without the committee, the Summer Dreams Committee, and putting all the content together for the newsletter, it doesn't exist. So, we got to be careful here with signing up for a 3-year agreement if we're not going to have a committee that can put all that together in advance.
And again, thanks to Lisa, she's done some work on it, and Fred and Angelina Waltz have stepped
Right.
up to volunteer. Lee McDonald was gonna get off, and she's willing to stay, and they're really working, but they need help. They truly need help.
Is there anyone here from Summer Dreams?
I don't see anybody.
They're busy working on the next edition. All right.
And they work, it's not like you have to be at a committee meeting to work. You can work on your own time on it.
Right.
They do their editing and all that stuff, so.
Okay, anything else concerning this item? No, okay, we'll move on to the next one then. Next on the agenda is the Youth on Course proposal. So this is a program, it's actually, the sponsors are called Youth on Course. So this is to get young players involved in the game of golf. And as you can see in the program, or the packet here, a youth gets to play at participating golf courses. They pay, there's $20 that we collected for each round of golf played at Summer Glen by a Youth on Course member. $5 gets collected from the child, and $15 comes from the actual Youth on Course organization. The Youth on Course makes payment to Summer Glen, representing $15 for each round for the youth. So they must be accompanied by an adult who pays regular green fees while bringing that youth on the course. Any questions concerning this program?
I was curious, who's, Youth on Course is paying the $15. Is that a not-for-profit? Where do they get their money from? I was just curious. I don't know either. I should have asked yesterday when I saw Brad, and I didn't even think about it. It's probably like the First Tee program or whatever.
It's, something similar to that. I did go to the website and looked up other courses in our general area that participate in this program. And Links at Spruce Creek South participates. Stone Creek and Arlington Ridge are already participate in this program.
Yeah, they're a nonprofit.
So where they get their money from could be where
Donations.
multiple sources,
Right.
donation.
Fundraisers, yeah. Thanks, Kevin.
Nothing else concerning that one?
I don't see it.
I think it's a great program, and I think we should sponsor this and be a part of it here at Summer Glen.
Yeah, it becomes a new revenue stream for the golf course. Not only does the youth get to play, but a paying adult accompanies them. So brings people onto the golf course to get that outside play coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, move on to the next item. This is the proposal for the 2027 golf membership fees. So what is being proposed is to not have a rate increase for the 26-27 membership offerings, to freeze it at the same rate as what it is for this year. So that's what's reflected in the rates here.
I have no comment. Looks pretty straightforward to me.
I agree.
Okay. One of the things that I want to make sure everybody's clear on this. These are the memberships going to be offered. There's no additional memberships being offered. So the after noon membership goes away. So you have the seasonal and annual memberships, whether it's single or couples. Also, what is a little bit different also, the non-resident rates. For a while there, the non-resident rate was the same as the resident rate. That's now being proposal to change that so the non-residents pay a little bit more. Okay, no other comments, so we'll move on to the next one. United Refrigeration proposal. This is for the AC duct repair up in the attic above the cart barn. So there's some flex duct work that's up there, and over the years there's been different technicians working on the AC unit and anything else up in the attic. I guess you have to step over it to get to different parts of the attic, and over time it's now been crushed down. So this proposal is to repair that so that it's the crushed duct work is repaired and has proper flow.
Is there any provision to make it a little more sturdy than the last so that it doesn't happen again?
As far as I'm aware, that is not part of the proposal.
I thought there was some comment made, I don't know if I was talking to Tony or somebody, but there was, maybe it was.
It was me.
Yeah, it was Marie, yeah, about making a bit of a cover out of sheet metal or something so that when they have to step over that area, they're not
Actually
accidentally crushing the new replaced. So to me, I think the cover's got to be done.
Well, I think that they will take care of the damages and repairing all of this, all of the balancing and all of that. We can do the cover in-house. We can either do something wooden or we could do something out of metal. We have the ability to do that. I can also speak to Russ. He might have some ideas about something that we could do up there. But definitely something should be done after the repair is made, because this is something that gets hit regular because it's just right in the path of entering and people are not paying attention.
Well, let's do this. If we're going to go forward with it and spend the money to fix it, let's have the cover ready to go when it's on.
You got it. So I'll tell you what, when you'll vote on this early next month,
Yeah.
I will work on getting that cover all set up and getting what we need to do. Russ, you're going to help me out? He'll give me a hand with that, he said.
Yeah. Can we get a recommendation from United as far as what they think would work as far as protecting that?
I will get a recommendation.
And
from you.
have them give us a recommendation and a quote as well, so we have,
We'll do it.
I mean, we got tons of maintenance items to be working on. Maybe it makes more sense to have United do it as part of the package.
We can definitely do that.
Let's
I'll
get a quote so we have the
Okay.
comparison.
I might be able to fab. I got the fab shop that can do it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Just make a step over it. I'll take a look at it, Jeff.
Okay, great, thanks, Russ. Anything else for that item? Okay, next up then is the Tavern at the Glen lease amendment proposals. So a little bit of background information here. The lease was signed, and when the restaurant actually opened, I think it was August 30th or 31st of last year. So it's been almost 1 year now, and part of the lease agreement was there's kind of a startup period, 90 days, and then after 90 days, certain other elements of the lease was supposed to go into effect. So September, October, November, so at the end of November, that was the end of the 90-day window. So beginning in December is when the additional requirements in the lease were supposed to kick into effect. That didn't take place, so starting in January, the board sat down and had a discussion with Tavern at the Glen as far as they're not meeting the lease requirements from the 90-day period. So ever since early part of January through now, there's been on again, off again discussions going on. As far as today's meeting, we originally had offered a town hall meeting, and they declined for a town hall meeting. So we said, okay, if we're in lieu of a town hall meeting, then we're going to have this as an agenda item on the workshop, so we can bring the entire community up to date as far as where we at with discussions. Nothing's been agreed upon until it's put down in writing and signed off. Nothing's in effect. So at this point, these are all proposals and counter proposals from the last 8 months of discussions with Tavern at the Glen. So some of them are real basic, and other ones get into a lot more detail. I guess the best way to walk ourselves through this to make sure everybody has the same understanding of what is in front of us, I'm going to go through the details. So something is very basic. The very first sentence in the agreement should have a date on the agreement filled in. For whatever reason, it was overlooked and the date was never filled in. Both parties agree, yep, it should be there. June 19th of 2025 is when the original agreement was signed off. So that's pretty straightforward, easy fix. The premises. There was a exhibit in the lease agreement that shows the golf and club restaurant building, and certain areas were supposed to be shaded to reflect what was part of the restaurant premises versus what was golf operations related. So the exhibit that was in the packet incorrectly shows the pro shop and the closet where the IT equipment storage closet is as part of the premises. And it also neglects to show the card room or old wine room or whatever you want to call that room off the bar. It does not show that as part of the premises. So obviously there's some issues that need to be resolved in that. Tavern at Glen proposes leaving the IT-related equipment in the storage closet. So part of that is their point-of-sale system and was installed in the closet, as well as their internet access from Spectrum that was installed in the closet. That was originally intended to be installed in the kitchen area office. So they haven't really stated whether they agree with updating the drawing. They just want to be able to leave their IT equipment in the closet. And our proposal is to attach, it's not attached to this packet, but it updates the drawing to show that the pro shop is not part of the premises. The card room is part of the premises, and so on. So
Do we want to talk about the IT equipment in the room, or
we can.
Is it an open topic or not?
Yeah, we can have a discussion on it, sure.
My opinion, and from what I saw in that room recently on a short visit with the electrical contractor, is Spectrum did some work in there apparently, and whoever it was that did that, what's it called, Toast?
Yeah, their point of sale system is Toast, yes.
Toast. It looks like a third grader did it, to be honest. I mean, there's wires everywhere. It's just sitting there. That room apparently was tidied up at one time, and it is a bit of a mess at the moment. I know it all works, but it's just not been put in cleanly. So, yeah, I think it's got to be moved and done properly once this particular 1.8 is sorted out from the mapping.
Okay, with that, I'm going to move on to the next one. Commencement date. Agreement shows July 4th of 2025 as a commencement date. And discussions, both parties agree that we would move the commencement date to July 31st of 2025 rather than July 4th. So again, anything that's in here, even though both parties are in agreement, nothing's official until we actually create amendments to the lease agreement and it gets signed by both parties. So at this point, yes, in principle, we're in agreement on it, but until we have a signed agreement moving forward, this is just a proposal at this point. Base rent. Current agreement calls for $1 per month for 2025, and then going to, let's see, 1%, sorry, $1 per month for 2025. Then it went to 1% of total sales commencing on January 1st of 2026, and then increasing to 2% effective January of 2027. In our discussions, in principle, both parties agreed that the proposed lease amendment would hold the base rent at 1% of total sales for the remainder of the lease term instead of increasing it to the 2% effective on January 1st of 2027.
And Jeff, I would add, because I was in on some of these discussions, and I'm glad we're being transparent with the community, because we always get accused of not being transparent. But I would add on that, that was, the restaurant was claiming they were struggling. And at that time, all we were doing was cleaning up language.
Right.
And then a lot of the things you're going to read next came in after we kind of agreed to this.
Yes.
So it got, in my opinion, it was out of control. But anyways.
Yeah, some of these things that were agreed to were pretty easy and were agreed to back in January, but the more difficult items to work through have been in discussions over the past 8 months.
But they just kept coming in.
Right.
And we'd like, yeah, anyways, come on.
Okay. So utilities, so I guess it's worthwhile reading the details here. Tenant shall be responsible for all utilities at the premises, including water, gas, and electric, upon receiving keys to the premises. Said accounts shall be transferred to the tenant's name on or before the commencement date. Tenant shall timely pay all accounts directly to the water, gas, and electric service providers, notwithstanding the foregoing, so long as the tenant is not in default of the lease. Starting at the beginning of each month following the first month, landlord shall provide to tenant a monthly credit of $700 from golf operations proceeds that tenant shall apply each month towards the accounts. For the first month, may not be a full month, so on. So where we stand now is the water and electric accounts remain in Summer Glen Owners Association's name. They were never changed per the lease agreement. The gas was changed because 100% of the gas usage is for restaurant. The golf operations doesn't use natural gas. So that has been changed to the Tavern at the Glen's name, that account. The $700 per month is a proration based on water usage and electric usage for golf operations for a total of $700. So Tavern at the Glen is proposing that the landlord keeps the water and electric accounts in the landlord's name and transfers the gas accounts back to the landlord's name. Tavern at the Glen also proposes eliminating the $700 per month water and electric credit, and the landlord takes over 100% of all utility payments. The stance right now from the Homeowners Association is we propose the electric and water utilities remain in the landlord's name and the gas account remains in the tenant's name. As per the current lease agreement, Tavern at the Glen would continue to be invoiced for the actual water and electric bills minus the $700 monthly credit. So in this case, we wanted to keep the water and electric in our name in case there would ever be any billing issues. We don't want the power shut off to the golf course where we can't book tee times and things like that. So we said it makes sense to keep the water and electric bill, particularly the electric, but water and electric bills in the name of the association and just pay them a $700 monthly credit and they pay the balance of the bill. So that's where we stand right now. Haven't come to an agreement at all as far as the utilities, but as of today, that's where we are.
Well, I think historically, I think the concept of the $700, where they claim it's too high, and it's difficult to really pin it down to a pure number because you can't measure it with separate bills. But as a frame of reference, I think if all of us here have homes here that are lived in continuously, and I doubt that any of us have an electric and water bill that amounts to anywhere near $700 a month. And what we really use for electricity in that building is the pro shop is essentially an office. We have a pro rata share of the water and power for a shared restroom situation that golfers use the restroom as well as restaurant customers. And then the electricity in there is no real big electric bill in the cart storage barn because they're electric carts. It's just keeping the lights on. And then there's a very small office that Brad has. I can't imagine that under any circumstances, the cost of the utilities used by the HOA in that building compared to the restaurant could conceivably be $700. And they're claiming it's too much.
Well, they feel we should be paying more.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
in
not
fact,
enough.
right now, the proposal that's on the table is the $700 goes away and we pay 100% of all utility bills, is what their proposal is.
Yeah, that's preposterous. I think the $700 is more than generous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you go through, I mean, try to allocate electricity, if you do it on a square footage basis, you know, so went through the entire restaurant and golf clubhouse space. Square footage wise, we're about 12% of the square footage that related to golf operations for the air conditioned space. Cart barn's not air conditioned. But we're paying, with the $400 electric credit we get based on the bills so far this year, we're almost paying 15% electric bill for 12% of the space. And then the water bill, we're giving them a $300 credit, and that is actually equal to 2/3 of the water bill. So, I mean, the golf course certainly doesn't use 2/3 the amount of the water in that building. So the $700 is a very fair number. In fact, if you know, I did a rough calculation. If you did it purely by the square footage and just say the water was split 50-50, our actual share would be somewhere around $550, not $700. So they're getting a little bit of advantage with giving them $700 based on square footage allocation.
And that was basically a carryover from the Tuscany lease, wasn't it?
Yes.
Jeff? Yeah.
Yeah, similar analysis
same
was
number.
done,
Yeah.
and
It wasn't really new language.
but this is, you know, based on actual bills. So, you know, utility
No, I
costs
get it.
always gone up. So actual utility bills through the first 11 months here. I started with September, and through the last one I had was through the end of July's utility bills. Okay, so that kind of explains where we're at with that one. Again, difference of opinion, what they want versus what we feel is appropriate. Next up is equipment maintenance. Part of the way the lease is written is there's a 30-day startup period in case any unnoticed issues were with equipment. They had 60 days to operate the equipment. At that point, they took over responsibility. So at the end of 60 days, tenants shall be responsible for the first $800 of any equipment repairs per item, with a remaining balance over $800 to be equally split between the landlord and tenant. So what Tavern at Glen is proposing is to split the equipment repair cost 50-50, starting with the first dollar of repairs rather than them paying the first $800. Again, proposal from the association is agreeable to this change with the following stipulation, and that is unless deemed by the landlord that damage or misuse was caused by the tenant or under their control, in which case the tenant shall be responsible for the repair cost. So again, no resolution there. That's where we stand. Any comments on that bullet point? Next up is preventive maintenance. Tenant shall obtain and fully utilize a continuing preventive maintenance program for the following equipment. So 3.51 is for the vent hood cleaning. Scheduled cleaning of the vent hood, including roof sections, to comply with state and county regulations. If not timely completed by the tenant, landlord may intervene and arrange the cleaning and invoice the expense to the tenant as rent. Tavern at the Glen is proposing that the tenant continue being responsible for the hood filter cleaning inside the hood and inside the building, while changing all other hood maintenance to be the responsibility of the landlord. Our stand at this point is Summer Glen Owners Association proposes no changes be made to the current lease agreement as written. So pretty straightforward, the two positions. Grease trap maintenance. Tenant shall properly maintain the grease traps. If not timely completed by the tenant, landlord may intervene and arrange the cleaning and invoice the expense to the tenant as rent. Tavern at the Glen is proposing landlord responsible for grease trap pumping out. Summer Glen Owners Association proposes no changes be made to the current lease agreement as written. So anything on preventive maintenance, any comments?
Regarding that, I think there was a clause in the contract, Kevin, that stated, and I sent an email around to the board about it, but an action list that the tenant was supposed to be keeping up with on all these maintenance items and keeping the record of that. Has that been done?
They don't deliver a list to me, but I do get from the tavern when they do the hood cleaning, so I've been keeping a track of that when they're doing the cleanings every quarterly, grease traps as well, so we kind of monitor those, yes.
So the answer is, there's no list.
The answer is I have a list and I will get it to you.
But there's been no list from the tenant?
No,
Monthly action list?
No, he just goes, here we go, we just got the hood clean. I'm like, wonderful, let me know when they're coming next. So, yeah, just kind of informally.
It was, yeah, I think, Steve, it was more, the word log was used.
A
wasn't
log,
it?
okay,
A log.
log, list.
Yeah.
List,
It's
log.
the same thing.
But
It's a
yeah, you're
record.
right, no.
A formal thing rather than very informal.
Right.
Just-
That was supposed to be available for Kevin then to look at periodically if needed.
Okay, I'll move on to the next one. Additional equipment or build improvements. Tenant may add additional equipment or build improvements to the premises if in compliance with this provision of the lease. 3.83 says the lease agreement already states that the tenant shall cover the cost associated with such modifications. Both parties agree that permitting, if required, is part of the cost, and as such, language should be incorporated into the lease agreement for clarification. Here's the 3.83, our proposed language at the very end, the very last sentence, talks about tenant shall cover the costs associated with such modifications, including the cost associated with obtaining all applicable permits. So don't have a agreement on that language change as of yet. Still waiting to hear back from them. I think one of the stipulations is they're kind of on board with that, but only from this point forward, not retroactive to anything.
Right. And
So what happened with the server area, they're saying, nope, not going to share any responsibility for that. That's all on you, but going forward, we agree to the change.
right. And there's, regarding the server area, in my opinion, some of that might have been our fault, but some of that was definitely their fault, and they just like, oh, thanks, it's not their fault. So I would disagree with their assessment of that issue. Bill?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, do we perhaps need a little additional language there? We talk about cost associated with obtaining permits. Obtaining permits is pretty easy. Passing the inspections that go along after you've obtained the permit is where the dollars tend to come from, and I would suggest that might be expanded a little bit to include all the costs included into complying with the permits.
Final permit approval,
Yeah.
yeah. Closing out the permit.
Our permits do seem to get costly, don't they?
Oh, yeah, permits are there. Yeah, you can do this, but you got to do it right. And
Right. Okay. Okay, moving on to the food and beverage credit. Current lease agreement does not state when the monthly food and beverage credit payment is due from the landlord. Article 3.1 states the tenant's rent payment is due on the first of each month. Need to amend the lease agreement with an actual date for payment of the food and beverage credit. Again, in principle, both parties have agreed the proposed amendment would reflect Tavern at the Glen's rent payment would be due no later than the 10th day of each month, and also agreed that both parties, proposed amendment would reflect the food and beverage credit payment would be due no later than the 10th of each month. So just formalizing that, there was nothing in the original agreement that specified a date. This is just nailing it down. Typically, would be payable on the first of the month, but it's not considered past due until after the 10th of the month. Point of sale system. From the date of this lease is fully executed and upon the tenant's installation of an operational point of sale system to use each home food and beverage credits through December 31st of 2026. So that's specifically said the point of sale system would be used for the $30 monthly credit, the voucher. Both parties agreed the proposed amended lease language that would reflect that the tavern or the tenant has the option to utilize a point of sale system for the food and beverage credit program or may use coupon vouchers, which is what we've been doing for the first year and now in the second year. So Tavern at the Glen, they're proposing that if a gift card system is implemented, the anticipated cost of $6,000 would be split 50-50 between the tenant and landlord, or if the coupon voucher system is continued, the tenant is proposing that all costs associated with printing and distributing food and beverage vouchers be the responsibility of the landlord. From the association standpoint, where we're at is we are proposing that all costs associated with implementing the food and beverage credit program, whether it be gift cards or coupons, are the responsibility of the tenant. The actual printing and distribution logistics for the gift cards or coupons would be the responsibility of the landlord. So just like we've done in previous years, we would hand out the coupon or the gift card and make sure only those people that are current with their HOA fees are getting the cards and so on. Any need for clarification or questions on that? Okay. 3.9 also has a section about transferability. Current agreement states that the food and beverage credit is non-transferable. So both parties agreed the proposed food and beverage credit language would be changed to reflect the credit coupons are transferable. Pretty straightforward. What's the practice is now if somebody's not able to use their coupon or has no intention of using it, they can transfer it to whoever they want.
Jeff?
Yeah.
As we get into these sections as it relates to coupons, at least for me, it might be helpful to go back to the point of the original negotiation of the lease. Okay? The question that I have is conceptually, when this was all done, what specifically was the intent and the purpose of the coupons? It can be, looked at two different ways. It can be a device to try and increase participation and business at the restaurant. Or it could have been a methodology somehow disguised as a subsidy to the restaurant. What was really the thought pattern that was in place in the original negotiation, if there was anybody here? Why does a coupon program exist?
I was not involved in negotiations, so I can't comment on it. I don't.
Russ will chime in. Go ahead, Russ.
I think, Bill, I think there's two things here. The coupon it's 100% redeemable, so it's not a subsidy to the restaurant per se. It's more of a short term, or it's more of a cash flow, short-term line of credit, basically, is how to look at it. And then the second part of that is also to promote increased interest in using the restaurant and bar. And I think we can all agree that there's been a lot more people in that restaurant than I've ever seen in the last 2 or 3 tenants. So just some input there.
I guess, Bill, I wasn't on the board when First Service hired the consultant. You were still on the board.
Yeah, that was whenever
I'm trying to think-
Tuscany first went out.
And I'm
We were
trying to
looking
think
at
So First Service had a restaurant consultant,
right.
and I believe his recommendation was to keep a restaurant in a small community like ours. You would need some sort of incentive to support that restaurant. That we've had obviously everybody knows that's been there a long time. We've failed over and over and over again for various reasons. So I think we devised in the negotiations, and may he rest in peace, our previous treasurer was adamant that the voucher system would be redeemable 100% for credit. In other words, if the homeowner got his paid his $30, he had $30 credit at the restaurant for food. So it wasn't, quote, a subsidy per se, but I think Russ it was designed to get people to try the restaurant again. Go to the restaurant, try it. I think I thought it was successful, but that's just me.
Well, it certainly generated some traffic, but I think the reason I asked that, because if that's in fact the concept, and I think it probably is, they should never expire.
Correct.
If that's the purpose of them, is to provide a voucher to each property owner in exchange for their $30 payment to the HOA, it should be fully transferable, should be sellable, and it should never expire. And maybe if they change of property ownership or something, perhaps. But in general, you paid your $30, and it should be good for credit at the restaurant. This theory of having them expire and these folks wanting to even more accelerate having them expire just screams of, hey, when they expire, we just get to keep the money and we don't have to provide the food. There's no other reason for them to be adamant for an expiration or stopping the rollovers.
Right, and I think the history, I don't disagree. I think the history of the first expiration, because it was a 1-year trial program to be reevaluated, as was said by a resident earlier, at the end, in the next budget session, and then they expired in March of 2027, I believe, this year's coupon.
Yes, the 2026 coupon.
And that was just designed to protect snowbirds who may not even come back till after the holidays. They'd have that last 3 months to get through their vouchers. And that was if the program didn't continue. If the program was to continue, I don't disagree with you that should they have an expiration date. Your point is valid.
Right. And I think from their perspective, why should they care whether I sold my $30 coupon to you for $18, or if I give my coupon to Bill to use to cover his bar bill? But yeah, that's from their point of view, it should not even be relevant to them. It's got nothing to do with them. All as it is they got cash and they get paid in advance for purchases in the restaurant. And they should be happy as a clam if people wait forever to get them to, but they should not expire.
I agree. Yeah, we'll get, the next gets into, the first one was transferability. So
Correct. We got kind of
there was,
pushed out.
yeah, but I mean, in the current lease agreement, it specifically says they are not transferable. So the discussion was, well, it's right from day one, we didn't enforce that. And therefore, let's memorialize it by putting it into an amendment that they are transferable. So that's what that bullet point was trying to address. Okay, let's get down into the real meat and potatoes here as far as the credit itself. So 3.9, food and beverage credits beyond December 31st of 2026. Current agreement states this monthly food and beverage credit program will be evaluated and amounts determined each year in the landlord's sole discretion after good faith conversations with the tenant, including without limitation in December of 2026. So everything was very clearly defined in the lease agreement for the first year. So the coupons that were issued in 2025 expire in December of this year. The coupons for 2026 expire March 31st of 2027. So what we do for, if anything, for the coupons, if there's going to even be a program, is really up to the board. What TAG is proposing, Tavern at the Glen is proposing, is to renew the current $30 per month per home food and beverage credit for 2027. They are also proposing that starting on January 1st of 2027, all future vouchers be distributed in 3 month quarterly intervals, and all vouchers would expire the end of each month with no rollover. So what they're saying, rather than handing out the full year's 12 months worth of coupons, that we would hand out just January, February, and March. And then again, sometime in March, we would hand out April, May, and June, and just keep doing that every quarter. But whatever vouchers are handed out, they would expire at the end of the month that's printed on the ticket. So January's vouchers would expire at the end of January. So
Use it or lose it.
yeah, use it or lose it. Our proposal, Summer Glen Owners Association proposal, is to renew the current $30 per month food and beverage credit program for 2027 with any unused 2027 monthly food and beverage credits rolling over each month until expiring on March 31st of 2028. So in other words, repeating exactly what's being done with the 2026 coupons.
And I would suggest we change that position to be with no expiration.
Unfortunately, we're very far apart.
Well, yeah, I mean,
This is the stumbling block,
I understand.
no question, no question.
And I think it should be. I mean,
Yeah.
from our standpoint, I mean, we've got to protect the snowbirds too.
Right.
I mean, they don't stand a chance under what they're suggesting.
well, the no expiration at all has nothing to do with protecting the snowbirds.
I get that.
I mean,
but they
with the
mentioned- 12-month. They
with-
mentioned expiring at the end of the month.
Yeah,
If they're not here, how can they use it?
I agree, but that's not what we're proposing. So this is where we're still quite a ways apart on any kind of agreement here. So what we're proposing is a repeat of 2026.
So, and to that point, if, shame on the homeowner, they've had, in 2026, they will have had what, 15 months? Am I doing my
Yeah,
math right?
January's coupon for 2026 is valid all the way through March of 2027. So they have 15 months to use
15
December's,
months,
to
basically.
use January's
Right,
coupon.
and if you're away, you have till March to get caught up with your coupons. You know, have a big Christmas dinner, I don't know. But that being said, in March, the restaurant will get some money. We don't know how much money, but there is money out there that has not been spent. Or redeemed, let's put it that way. There's redeemed.
Yeah,
So
and that's being tracked every month. And
I
right
know,
now, that number is about approximately $67,000. Is that right?
It's a little north of 70,000.
Oh, it's now, okay.
Yeah.
So, and some of that obviously extends in the summer, and the snowbirds will come back. So, but there will be a certain amount of money that is not spent by March.
Right.
And that was my point in asking, the question back a few minutes ago. What is the intent and the plan of the coupon program? If it is to solicit more business flowing through the restaurant, that's fine. If that is the purpose of it, As soon as you put an expiration in, any monies coming out of the expiration had nothing to do whatsoever with soliciting additional business to the restaurant. It is a pure, simple cash subsidy for which they had to do nothing. And that's so that's my suggestion is if the theory of the coupon program is to enhance business at the restaurant, that's what that money goes for. And if it doesn't go there, it shouldn't fall in their laps as a freebie at the end of the expiration date. And it should be the restaurant's responsibility to provide programs and menus and the like that motivates and gets people to come to their restaurant and spend money and cash in the coupons. It's not the community's responsibility to say, I got to go down and give some money to the restaurant because it's my duty to support a restaurant that I might not like. But that's just my personal opinion.
Well, as it stands right now, the current lease would, the current vouchers do expire. We can't technically change that language,
No, you
right?
can't change it
Or
there
we'd
now.
be in violation.
Right, yeah, if we don't uphold that, we would be in violation.
Correct.
So we're locked in for
We're locked in.
2026's
Right.
Yeah, but as
voucher program, but 2027
Next year would
is
be-
still on the table for discussion.
Correct. I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that was clear.
Right. Yeah, I mean, both parties have to uphold their end of the lease agreement.
Correct.
And
Right.
where this is the whole idea of what we've been trying to get accomplished for the past 8 months is, okay, are there appropriate modifications to be made? We just talked about transferability. That's so okay. All right. Let's 3.92, food and beverage credit redeemability. The current lease agreement states that the food and beverage credits are not redeemable for cash and are void if the recipient sells the food and beverage credit for cash or any other consideration. Tavern at the Glen has not responded to this proposed amendment. Our point of view is we're proposing to eliminate the wording and are void if the recipient sells the food and beverage credit for cash or any other consideration. We feel they've paid their $30 into the program as part of their monthly assessment with the homeowners association. What they do with that, if they want to give their food and beverage credit to somebody else, that's up to them. If they want to sell it, that's up to them. We're just saying, let's memorialize that in the lease agreement by saying, taking out that sentence that says they become void if they sell. Okay. Next one, 3.94, the food and beverage credit tracking. Current agreement states, tenants shall utilize a point-of-sale system for the food and beverage credit program. Such program will not be implemented, and no food and beverage credits will be issued until the tenant's point-of-sale system is operational. The point-of-sale system shall have the ability to make gift cards, and tenants shall issue gift cards to each of the 1,024 homes, which will have the pro rata monthly food and beverage credit added each month. Tenants shall be solely responsible for accurately tracking the credits and expenditures for each home account under the program. So both parties in principle have agreed to the proposed amended language that would state, change to reflect the Tavern at the Glen would have the option to utilize a point-of-sale system for the food and beverage credit program or may use coupons, which is exactly what is being done, but that isn't what the lease agreement says. It specifically says that it'll be done through the food and beverage, or through the point-of-sale system, and no food and beverage credits will even be issued until the point-of-sale system is operational. So that was never enforced. What we've actually done is agreed to allow the use of the coupons as an interim solution, which we've done now for not only the first year, but for the second year.
And Jeff, I would add while we're right here before we go on, that I believe both sides not only the restaurant, but the board thought that this toast program could do that. And there was supposedly beta testing and this, that, and the other thing that First Service had told us about. They were confident, well, they weren't confident, they were hoping that it would come online, that this could be done through Toast. And it never materialized. So that's kind of how we got into the coupons.
Right. So we haven't seen the proposal, but from Toast, but apparently what Tavern at the Glen is saying is that if the gift card system is implemented, and apparently they've had some conversations because they have a number, the anticipated cost of doing that implementation for the gift card would be $6,000, and they're proposing that that cost be split between 50-50 between the landlord and tenant. Or if the coupon voucher system is continued, Tavern at the Glen is proposing that all costs associated with printing and distributing the food and beverage credits would be the responsibility of the landlord. So our standpoint is we're proposing that all costs associated with implementing the food and beverage credit program, whether it be gift cards or coupons, are the responsibility of the tenant. The actual printing and distribution logistics of the cards or coupons would be the responsibility of the landlord. So we would, if we continued the coupons, we'd go out and get them printed and distribute them.
We need control of that. If that were to continue, yes.
Yes, because we have the information, First Service knows who's current with their paying their association dues, and they know, okay, I'm not going to issue that person until they get their association dues update and so on. So again, big difference in what both parties are willing to agree to right at this point. Hours of 7.5 and 7.6, days and hours of operation. Current agreement states that after 3 months of opening, the premises will be open 7 days per week, and the hours of operation shall be Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., Friday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The tenant shall also provide full service on the patio area. So that's what's in the lease agreement right now. There was, a couple of weeks ago, we received an email, and their latest proposal, Tavern at the Glen, is proposing that the days and hours of operation effective 9/1 of 2026, September 1st, would be Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., with breakfast from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and lunch and dinner from 11 to 7 p.m. Some Glen Owners Association is asking for further clarification. Recent announcements from Tavern at the Glen have stated Sunday hours would be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., with breakfast hours and lunch hours as stated. What is Tavern at the Glen actually proposing for days and hours of operations? And when will they go into effect? And when will full service on the patio commence? Because it seems like it's constantly changing. First it's going to be these hours, then it's going, no, we're going to do these hours. They're not, at this point, they're not willing to lock into a set hours of operation each day. And then just for clarification, the patio area is considered part of the premises and shall be open for permitted use during all operating hours. So again, right now, the hours kind of change.
Willy-nilly.
Well, yes, that's basically it. So nobody knows when they're open. I mean, is it going to be till 5 p.m. or is it going to stay open till 7 p.m.? Is it going to be 7 p.m. and staying open till 9? There's no clear clarification, and so far they've been unwilling to put anything in writing as far as what those hours would be.
I actually think they wanted to drop anything in writing on the hours. They said, we'll just decide whatever.
Yeah.
Wasn't that their latest?
Yeah, the latest was, we will post our hours on front of the clubhouse as we are doing now. If we need to change the hours, we will notify our patrons beforehand through social media and personal interaction. As far as the lease contract, We do not feel it is necessary to include those in the terms of the contracted lease.
Yeah. You got a comment? Russ has a comment. Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah. It is 100% necessary. I mean, a lot of people don't even go up there till 7, and being closed Monday potentially affects our golf business as well. So that's from the beginning.
Especially in the winter when we hope the golf business picks up.
Yep. So again, big gap between what they are proposing versus what we are saying the lease agreement already states. Okay, 7.74, delivery service. Tenant is not in compliance with this item. At this point, no proposal has been received from Tavern at the Glen. Summer Glen is not proposing any change to the lease agreement. Delivery service within the Summer Glen community. Tavern at the Glen needs to start to provide this service, provide a start date for providing the service. 9.1.3, equipment allowance. So what it says in the lease agreement right now, it says, with approval of the landlord's board of directors, landlord will furnish tenants' equipment needs at the premises not to exceed $14,000. Landlord shall own such equipment. Tenant shall maintain any such equipment. Tenant may select glasses and silverwares of its choice and shall be responsible for incidental breakage. Landlord shall be responsible for purchasing these items and quantities as listed per Appendix E to be delivered by tenant to the landlord. So right now, Tavern at the Glen, it contends that they cannot fully determine any additional expenditures needed at this time and is requesting an extension until the end of 2026 to utilize the balance of the equipment allowance. So the original intention as far as I understand, the original intention of the equipment allowance was things that you need in order to operate a kitchen, a restaurant, plates, pots, pans, so on.
Right.
So the board agreed to provide a $14,000 equipment allowance so they can go out and buy those things.
Correct, because I guess a lot of it had disappeared.
Right.
And then it got cumbersome because I believe First Service was going to they were going to give us a list. First Service was going to buy the stuff, and actually to Tavern at the Glen's credit, they said, look, we could probably get it cheaper.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly what we need, so we'd like to kind of piecemeal it, and we'll continue to upgrade the inventory to Kevin. So I believe that, I don't know where that stands, or the balance of money.
Yeah.
So we've kind of worked with them so that they could get.
Right. So I'll actually read so everybody's aware exactly what it says. So what was my understanding, talking with the previous board members, the lease agreement states landlord has approval authority and shall be responsible for purchasing these items. However, with time being of the essence leading up to the startup of operations, Tavern at the Glen was authorized to start purchasing the items themselves and then requesting reimbursement. When Tavern at the Glen expressed concern over the approval and check cutting process being too cumbersome and drawn out, Tavern at the Glen requested the remaining balance at that time be turned over to them to expedite the entire process. The lease agreement specifically states a not to exceed cost of $14,000, and the landlord shall own any such equipment. Therefore, the association retains ownership of any remaining balance from the original $14,000, and all unused funds are to be returned to the landlord. Tavern at the Glen says, no, you gave us that money, we're keeping it, is their position.
So do we have a list of everything that was purchased for the 14,000? Because, yeah, you do have.
Yes.
All right.
Has it reached the 14,000 limit?
We got about there's a roughly $4,000 and change balance left.
Okay.
So they're contending.
On paper.
Correct.
In theory.
Yes, so that is what's remaining of the 14,000. That money was turned over to them last year to expedite the process of them getting started up. We're saying, okay, if you've bought because it specifically says up to $14,000. So if you feel you have everything now, you need now to run the restaurant, then give us back the balance of the 14,000.
That's why I said, is it on paper or have we seen the cash?
On paper. They have the cash. Now they need to purchase the remainder of that balance and get us receipts. So that's where it stands.
Okay.
So, again, they say they want to extend it until December to finalize any other things they may need. Whatever they buy for that becomes association property.
Right.
So if they're not going to buy anything, then the money is association property and it should come back to us.
Correct. And that was the agreement.
And then the very last thing, just a typo error, shows David Dorley's signature as being June 19th of 2020 instead of 2025. Both parties agreed it'll be updated to June 2025. And a new signature page will be signed by both parties once the amended lease agreement is finalized. So that's a summary of where we're at over the past 8 months of discussions with Tavern at the Glen. Some items are pretty straightforward and easy to remedy. Other ones, there's still a large difference of opinion as far as any proposed amendment to the lease. So we wanted to get this out to the community. Community understood what's been going on for the past 8 months. It's not like nothing's been happening. There's been discussions, and some items we're just still very far apart on. So again, we have a lease agreement that is signed by both parties, and if we can't come to an agreement on items, then the current lease agreement is in force and will need to be enforced. So we either come up with agreed upon amendments or we enforce the lease we have. Any other comments concerning this item?
None for me. No.
Okay, Russ, anything from?
Russ, anything on your? Nope. All good?
Okay, so that brings us to director input on any items. We'll start with you, Steve. Anything from your end?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
I got one thing that I'd like to announce. The Veterans is having their pancake breakfast. Tickets will be on sale today between 2 and 4 in the RSO. So if anybody wants tickets for the pancake
gotta get those.
breakfast, I would appreciate you try to get them today. Thank you.
Okay, Bill?
I'm good.
All right. Bill?
Good.
Good. Okay, something I want to make an announcement. It's not on the, as far as next meetings. Our next board meeting is on September 10th. The next workshop meeting is scheduled for September 24th. We also have on Monday, right? Tom, this coming Monday is we have Wesley Wilcox from the Election Commission coming in for a town hall meeting on Monday at 6 p.m. So we have that coming up. Also, we're started working on our Spectrum TV and internet agreement. It currently expires in around end of October of 2027. So we're still about 14 months out, but we've already started conversations. We've had some discussions at previous board meetings about that. We have 3 potential suppliers, service providers, so Spectrum, and then 2 fiber optic companies. One is called Blue Stream, and the other one is called Fiber Now. What we're going to do is we're going to set up town hall meetings to meet with those vendors. So on Wednesday, September 9th, we're going to have 2 separate meetings, one in the morning at 9 a.m. It'll last approximately an hour and a half. In fact, we're having to rearrange the schedule, so we can't exceed an hour and a half. So we'll have 90 minutes, so from 9 o'clock to 10:30, we're going to have, I believe it's Fiber Now is up first. So we'll have Fiber Now here. So they'll do a brief presentation. The board will have a chance to ask any follow-up questions about it, and then we'll open up the floor for resident questions as well. So that, and then at 2 p.m. that same day, September 9th, we'll have Blue Stream come in and go through the same process, make a presentation, board questions, and then resident questions at the last portion. So we'll have a meeting announcement coming out. It will be a town hall, or no, I'm sorry, it's going to be a workshop format, not a town hall format. It's going to be a workshop format, just like today. So nothing's going to be voted on. It's going to be discussion, chance to ask follow-up questions from those two vendors. So we'll get a meeting announcement for the workshop, special workshops with the two fiber providers. And then we'll, from that, we haven't set one up yet with Spectrum, but we'll do the same with Spectrum. That, motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Now open up the floor for homeowner comments. Come on up.
Come on up.
Linda Lilliquist, lot 753. If I were in a contract with somebody, my landlord would say to me, you got so many days or you're out of here. I think you people have been more than generous to this guy. When you, I don't know how you interview somebody, but if it should be what we want. If he can't follow what we're asking for, this place used to be so alive. We used to have music up there. People would dance in the patio. He's been offered a lot of that stuff free, and he turns everything down. The place has changed a lot. I think he wants out of his contract, and I think you should start looking for somebody now.
Hi, Bob Saltzman, Lot 1007. First of all, the fact that you're discussing and having ongoing negotiations with the tenant is appropriate, and I'm grateful you're doing it. Any contract is a beginning of a relationship. It's never the end, and it should always be constantly looked at. That's why in almost every single contract you have something in the contract that says this can be amended by a writing signed by both parties. So what you're doing is the right thing to do, and I'm grateful for it. As to some specifics, especially the coupon expiration, to me, the coupon expiration motivates attendance, which is a good thing because we want people to get used to going and attending the restaurant. And I think someone said up there that more people have been going than ever before in past iterations of the restaurant side, at least. So it motivates attendance and it motivates the transfer. Many people will never use the restaurant. They'll sit there with those coupons and they'll never use them. And it's not fair to the restaurant to carry on their books ad infinitum a doubt about what kind of money and how are they going to do it and what they're going to do. So an expiration date allows the people who are never going to use them to simply transfer them to somebody else. The expiration date is a good thing, and whether it's a year and a half down the road or whatever, but endlessly is not a fair burden to place on any tenant that we might have. One other thing about the coupon, as I understood it, and back and forth with the desire to get a new tenant in here, whether it be at Wolfie's or now TATG, it was to attract anybody to come in here. With our record of failure, not to have an ultimate entry bottom line that people could, that the tenant could rely upon to come into Summer Glen, we may never have gotten anybody here, let alone John and his partner. Also, while an expiration date may very well improve their bottom line, the bottom line is the goal of any business. And it's absurd to think that he wouldn't want to improve his bottom line in some way, shape, or form in negotiating with us. But it begs the question, you know, any restaurant here is going to have a very limited bottom line. To the point of John speaking to us at that meeting we had when he was first coming here and making, you know, promises as to what he would do, he said very clearly, I'm not going to get rich here. and he's right. He's not going to get rich here. But if an expiration improves his bottom line by, I don't know, a few tens of thousands over the course of a year, he's still not getting rich here. Profit is not a dirty word. But I don't know, and I got to ask you this question, I don't know how we could make determinations as to the dollar value of a coupon or what potential for profit a restaurateur might be favorable to us. But how can we make any of these determinations, whether it's $20, $30, whatever, or its expiration, without having ongoing access to the restaurants, and whether it's John or anybody else, to their books? Do we have access to their books? Do we know if they're making money, not making money? If Sal would come crying to us, he's not making money, did you have access to his books? Are we getting access to the current or any future tenants' books? So we know how to make these kinds of decisions. Because without it, I don't know how you make a decision. You want to pull it from the sky? I don't know. On to another favorite topic of mine. So do we have access to the books? Do we get an answer for the community?
Top line only.
Top line only. Could you explain what that means to the non...
Total revenues each month.
So we don't know if what's profits or whatever. Someone mentioned a 60% or 40% profit on the coupons. I think we need to know, if we're going to be making intelligent decisions, what that is. Okay. On another topic, has the umbrella been tested for use? I mean, who's responsible for its upkeep under this lease? Because, you know, they couldn't use the patio because of the screw up with the permitting. Now we can, and it's been too hot, but it's getting pretty nice out. It would be nice to be able to sit out there and be protected from the sun. So I'm just wondering, has anybody tested the umbrella? Yes.
I'm not aware of is it not going up now? And I'm not aware of a problem at the moment.
I mean, has it been tested? Has it been opened and it's functioning? It's not wobbling? That's good. Okay, thank you. That's great. Thank you. Lastly, assuming negotiations go no further, we're in the midst of this. It's one of our most important contracts we have in the community outside of Cypress and Brad, et cetera. It's our business, okay? But assuming negotiations go no further, what alternatives have you been working on? If no settlements are reached, you know, you can't come to an agreement, whatever, and it's the right thing to do to go through all this stuff. What are you prepared to do to enforce the provisions? Because by enforcing the provisions, that could result in an empty building. That's what we had with Sal. Didn't work out. Boom, we put a notice on his door. You're closed. Is that what's going to happen again? Are we going to have an empty building for 2 years? So I have proposed over the years that Summer Glen has an ongoing restaurant committee that would, have as one of its functions, evaluate potential restaurants in the marketplace in case a tenant leaves. He may leave for a lot of reasons, whether or not it's part of this negotiation or a death in the family or, God forbid, or any other kind of reason, or we just get fed up and we want someone out and we do what we did with Sal. But what happened with Sal ought to be a good lesson for us. We had no plan. And we don't have a restaurant committee again now because the board wants to keep everything within its own parameters for some reason. But we don't have a plan. So what are you going to do? How are you going to negotiate with the guy? And what are you going to do about it if he doesn't comply? You have no plan. So I would again suggest to take this opportunity that we set up such a committee so we would have plans ongoing. And it would also encourage restaurateurs to abide by the lease because they'd know we'd always be in the marketplace. And lastly, we might have had a better lease to begin with if we had had a restaurant committee. Thank you very much.
Rose Pinard, Lot 145. My question, maybe I missed something, but so you're saying $60,000 has not been redeemed through the restaurant for the vouchers?
I think Steve said 70.
70? Okay. So let's supposing that I have a coupon that one of them has $10 and another one has $5. Let's say I have 3 or 4 that add up to $25 and I never use them. What happens to that money? what happens to the $60,000-$70,000?
That's a liability against the restaurant at the moment as it stands, the amount of unused vouchers or coupons. So
But I think to answer your question, so vouchers that were issued last year, so we got 6 months worth of vouchers from July through December of 2025. Those expire December of 2026. And then the vouchers for this year expire March of 2027.
I got that.
So any vouchers not redeemed by them, the money stays with Tavern at the Glen.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, you do have to remember the snowbirds. There's a lot of snowbirds that, will, when they come back, they'll have the opportunity to use their coupons if they have not already. So there is that variable there that will get used up. But there are people that are not going that will never go, and that money just goes straight to them.
Okay, so regardless of what we do with our vouchers, they get the entire amount.
If they stay until, I think Steve's point was if they stay until the expiration of the vouchers. If they were to leave early, there is a clause, I believe, in the lease that then they have to return the money to the HOA.
Correct.
For unused vouchers.
Okay,
Correct.
that
So
was-
there's almost two answers. Does that make sense?
All right, that was my second question.
Okay.
What if, as some of the residents have made a comment, what is your plan B? If they leave, then what happens? They have to pay that back?
That's, the lease says that, yes.
Okay, all right. And then this is just a simple thing. On the membership, it says seasonal memberships are from 11/1 to 4/31. Should be 4/30.
Oh.
That's it.
Nobody looked at the calendar.
Well, only 30 days in April.
Marty Sawyer, Lot 180. So these guys are pretty shady on the way they've been operating this restaurant and bar. So I think we do need to look at all our options. He changes his prices as quickly as he changes his hours. So we need to either hold him accountable to the current lease or, send him on his way. Thank you.
Hello, Carol Steck, Lot 1006. There were two very important items on today's agenda that have a lot of financial implications. And for one, I was kind of surprised at the lack of discussion among the board on these items. Regarding the membership offerings for golf, it was announced that these represent no increase, if I understood correctly. I'm just curious as to whether, has there been a financial presentation in terms of why that decision was made? I believe this year we did not do as well with annual membership sales as we had hoped or expected. What is, obviously our costs are going up, right? We got other contracts associated with golf that the costs have increased. So I'm just looking to see, has somebody done the financial analysis that says, well, no, we're doing this. We've talked, has Brad been talking to members, people who have the afternoon, are they going to convert to a regular or are they just not going to be members? We need to understand the financial implications of this, or I would think the board needs to understand. And I was a little bit disappointed that there was nothing offered to say, hey, what's the impact of this? We currently subsidize the golf course. We, the residents, in our dues to a little over, $50 some a month. Is that now going to be 60 or 65? Is the daily play such that it's going to offset that? I'd like to hear some numbers. I'm a numbers gal. Which brings me to the lease. There was some discussion about utilities. And ironically, there would, some of it was, well, we do it by square footage or whatever. Sal left And my recollection is that the restaurant, we had no tenant for close to a year. A lot of work was going on in the restaurant at that time once we got one, but you had a year's worth of utility bills to look at to see what do we actually use without a restaurant. Not rocket science. You know, rates have gone up, so look at usage. Usage during that, you got the invoices. What was the usage then? What is it? What is it now? What was the percentage? I mean, it's not rocket science. So I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't bothered to look at that. And I personally am totally opposed to our paying for all their utilities. I mean, it's their business, it's their cost. The other is with the coupons. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about them. To sit there and expect them to hold these, you know, as I think it was Bill Rodriguez who proposed, they should never expire. I think that's ludicrous. Like I said, I think Bob Salzman was exactly right. You're trying to incent people. Yes, Bob's probably fainting in the back that I said that. I knew. Good. I knew that. It's okay. We're neighbors. It's the incentive to go to the restaurant. If people aren't using them, don't intend to use them, hey, if you're making them transferable, that takes care of that. If they're just, you know, I don't know, it's part of my dues and I'm oblivious to what goes on in the world, so be it. They need to have, you know, whether it's, I don't like it has to be done at a month, come to some reasonable type of thing in terms of what, but the other is if you say they never expire, okay, I'm paying this $30 to my HOA. Now, if they never expire, restaurant goes bye-bye, do I have grounds to come after the HOA and say I want my money back? You might want to ask yourself before you start doing things like saying, hey, they never expire. I don't think there's no business logic in that whatsoever. But I guess my overall comment was there wasn't a lot of discussion among the board members on some of these items, and I find that a little bit unsettling in terms of what is the board thinking, what are the implications, what are the reasons for some of this that he's asking for. Like I said, is he doing that bad? I totally disagree with the, oh, get him out of here. We've had, 4 tenants in the past 8 years? We've got one. Please try to hold on to him. That doesn't mean bending over and doing whatever, but we've not been successful. Okay? We need to just realize that this is not a hot property. You don't get public traffic. The roads haven't helped. You need to keep a restaurant here. That does not mean bend over backwards and, you know, do whatever they want. But, and people who say, oh, well, no, let's just get somebody else. We've done that, been there, done that 4 times. I've only lived here 11 years. That's ridiculous. So anyway, thank you, board.
Just, Carol, just to the community, your comment about, you're surprised about the board not having more comments. The board's been working on this for the past 8 months, so the board members are all pretty much up to speed as far as all the different proposals have been going back and forth over the last 8 months. Purpose of today's meeting was, you know, we're not allowed to have a private board meeting to discuss the contract. It has to be a legal matter. So we've always only had 3 board members present in any of those discussions, and there's been emails going back and forth. So the board is fully aware of what all the proposals have been. Purpose of today's meeting was trying to bring the community up to date as far as where are we. This has been going on for a long time now. We're about to enter they've been open for 12 months now, and we still don't have everything worked out. So just wanted to bring the community up to speed with everything. So the board knows exactly what's going on walking into this meeting, so that's why there wasn't a lot of questions. So don't assume that just because there wasn't a lot of questions, the board doesn't care what's going on. Everybody's been up to speed the whole time on the board side of things.
Mark Davis, lot 57. Can someone explain to me what the meaning of "in the landlord's sole discretion" means? I'm looking at paragraph 3.9, food and beverage credits beyond 12/31/2026. The current agreement states this monthly food and beverage credit program will be evaluated and amounts determined each year in the landlord's sole discretion after good faith conversations with tenant, including without a limitation in December of 2026. My thought, or what I think this means, is in the landlord's sole discretion, it means the restaurant has no say-so. They cannot say, "Oh, we recommend this. We want to do this." That statement, in the landlord's sole discretion, they have the final say-so, not the restaurant. My objective opinion. Thank you.
Well, it's very clear. You know, it is the landlord's sole discretion.
Renee Hunstead, Lot 213.
Closer to the mic, please.
Thank you, Board, for going through these negotiations. I do have a couple bullet points I thought might be helpful. What are our legal options for non-compliance, breach, or default on the lease items? Is there an arbitration clause? And how long do we permit these breaches to continue before we consider alternative providers or restaurant operators? What benchmarks are we using to measure whether this is a successful operation or not? Along with the utilities questions, who's paying for the trash? I was curious about that. And what are the guardrails for price increases on the menu? He could theoretically charge $50 a beer and there'd be nothing we could do about it. Thank you.
Good morning, Michelle Sawyer, Lot 180. Again, I want to thank the board for what you guys are doing, and especially for today in the manner of transparency. I'm so glad that we have as many people here that we do have, and hopefully a lot of people listening at home to understand what's going on. I made a lot of notes. They're all over the place. So all I'm going to say really is that since we don't have access to the books, and again, that you can argue for both sides of that, but we really don't know how this guy is doing. What we're hearing is that he is not making any money, and I think by the things that he's asking for, his suggestion to us is that he's not making any money. So in determining that, to the point that was just made, out of a $30 coupon, what exactly is he making off that coupon? Is there any way to determine that? To the point that was just made, he could charge $50 for a beer, and my $30 coupon doesn't go anywhere, where he's making profit hand over fist. To Marcia's and Linda's point, there was a lot of things happening at the bar when the previous owner was here, and I know that that previous owner invested a lot of money to get people things that people could come up and enjoy while they're having their social experience and having, dinner, drinks, whatever. Every single thing that was offered prior to has been declined by the current owner, by Tavern at the Glen. Is there anything that we can do to try to help him, to help himself in offering things to make money up there at the bar? The delivery service, I know because we were some of the ones that volunteered. The delivery service, which is still not being offered, which is possibly why people are not using their coupons, because they don't come up to the tavern for whatever reason. But the delivery service, we were one of the ones that offered, until he got his stuff together, to run food through the community. And we weren't taken up on that either. And as a matter of fact, we understood that his excuse was that he didn't have anybody to take those orders. Well, again, we have a hostess in a 10-table restaurant. Number one, I don't believe we need a hostess, but what would that hostess be doing other than taking orders for delivery? Is there a method to hold him accountable to some of these things? I think that that's probably all that I have to say. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? It appears not. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day.
Don't forget the pancake breakfast between 2 and 4 today in the RSO. Sue and Bob will be